Right. Considering it was me and you who spoke previously, Frank, in the interview that never happened, we'll start with you then. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Doing really good. It's been a busy morning so far,
Yeah.
and yeah. Working from home as an illustrator and designer, so I think a lot of my time is also just consumed with just that, unless there's a specific reason for it not to be so. But it's been a productive morning so far. Yeah,
Good to hear. How's the pooch?
good. He's doing good. He visited the vet this weekend. He's busy with. He's got an ear infection, so just got some ointment and seems to be doing good. He's on the carpet. You can't see him now, but he seems to be doing good.
Glad to hear it, and best wishes for the infection to clear up. Caitlin, how about you? How are you today? And have you had a busy morning?
Yes, yeah. I also work from home. I'm an artist. So painting really and doing like it's a commission work for another band. So album art as well. Yeah, that's
Okay,
my morning.
cool. Okay, cool. That's exciting. That's exciting. Is it any particular genre, or is it just if any? Does it matter to you? Like when you're commissioned to do some art, does it matter the genre or who's coming to you?
Well, so far I've been really lucky in that it's within spaces that I really resonate with. So this genre in particular is heavy music as well. So yeah, I think that's really cool. Very lucky that I get to do that, and I really like the music too. So yeah, so it's yeah.
That's good to know. Hilo, how about you? How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Can't complain. Um, yeah, also just been working this morning, so it's been kind of like a normalish day. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if
Yeah,
anybody else is
but
getting a little connection kind of freezing up a bit there on the visual
Yeah,
side
I
of
see
things.
you frozen a bit.
Yeah, it's the same for me, all of you guys as well.
Okay.
It sounds like it's okay, so I'm not going to worry too much about it because as long as we can hear and talk, I think that's more important than necessarily seeing each other.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Cool.
Okay, Frank, what is an average normal, for want of a better word? What does an average day look like for you?
Average day, like
Hmm.
from sunrise. Um, Let me see. It would be, after sorting myself out, it would be coffee, and then seeing if just on emails and socials if there's anything that I missed, if there's a messaging or anybody trying to reach out, because often I work with clients and sometimes there's we have time zone issues if they're on other places outside of Africa. So checking up my emails is always a good thing. Also, like even if they're all local clients, I have people who start at different times of the day. So usually
Hmm.
my work morning starts at 9. I would check that, and if not, I would continue with whatever I had on my list because I try and do my to-do list in the evenings. If there is no other special reason for me not to complete that, then that is what I would do. Yeah, and then I think um, you know evening side after supper is usually when I do make time for just playing music and
Yeah.
yeah, rehearsing and stuff. Like I like doing that in the evening. But it's quite a like I spend a lot of time during the day with myself. Like I live at home with my dog, and it's just the two of us. So I've also just grown accustomed to that. So you know, living quite solitary and being quite solitary unless there's a special need not to. Yeah.
Hmm. How about you, Caitlin? What's an average day in your life look like?
so me and Hilo live together. We both work from home. We both work remotely. So it's sitting at the computer, waking up, having breakfast, sitting at the computer. Um, I also paint at the desk. And then in the afternoons, we'll do rehearsals. So I have my electronic kit and we connect the guitar and pedals through a Focusrite and then we rehearse together. And then usually on Wednesdays, we meet Frank at a
Hmm.
rehearsal space. And yeah, we rehearse together.
What about you, Hilo? Is there anything you can add there?
Yeah, no, like I think my days normally like basically working in the mornings till about like 12. That's just a job that I have as a um, remote worker for a company. So
Hmm.
that's what I normally do for my mornings. And then for the rest of the day, it's basically pages. Like that's what I'm doing from 12 o'clock until whenever, things are sorted. And that's been pretty cool because it's like, um, just to know that the thing that you're working on kind of like requires that amount of time.
Yeah.
It's been cool, so you can actually just, yeah, kind of like really get into it. And sometimes you do actually just want a little bit of downtime, but like, when you're too quiet, then that's also not a good thing. So yeah, that's kind of generally what my days look like.
What does downtime look like for you? Like you do need downtime, as you said. So what does what do you do when it comes to that time? You know you need to step away from music.
I think it's just going out to nature. Yeah, like going for walks in the mountain and going to the ocean, that kind of thing. Yeah. I think that's like the most immediate kind of like access to something that kind of gets you away from,
Yeah.
things that is just like, yeah,
Mm.
local.
We're very lucky, like we live very close to nature. So Cape
Mm,
Town is like the city itself is surrounded by like mountains and forests and the ocean. So everything is like about 20 minutes away from each
Hmm.
other, either way,
yeah, it's not too
roughly.
far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've no idea. I've never been to South Africa, certainly not Cape Town. The world of London, England is a little bit different. So on that point then, Caitlin, what's something a person sort of living in Africa does daily that you think few others do elsewhere in the world?
Hmm.
Frank, Hilo, you
Maybe
can
it
both
is
have a
that.
little think too.
Maybe
Uh-huh.
it is the access to nature. I don't know. I mean, something specific about Cape Town is the
Mm,
fact that I mean, I grew up in Johannesburg, and a lot of people will say when they come here, like my family will come visit and say, "Wow, people are pretty active here." That I don't know if it is because of the proximity to nature. It brings that out as like quite a normal thing in the culture as well. That
mm.
people who do have access to nature, which is not everybody as well, that's a very like specific spatial historical issue. So as well, that is something prominent, but it is also like interesting in that we do have that kind of relationship to nature. It's not something
Mm.
people, stay away from or avoid necessarily if they can get there.
Yeah, I think it's something the rest of us take for granted when it's not as readily available.
Yeah.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
Frank, Hilo, what about you guys? Is there anything you can think of?
Ooh.
That people specifically do in South Africa.
Hmm.
Try a lot.
Yeah, I guess that is the thing that people do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that is, yeah, like maybe that's the thing that's more South African based. I mean, even if it's like something that we're not necessarily, yeah, like too involved in ourselves and from our end, like there's three of us in this band, but like I think, yeah, that is kind of like a national thing here.
Any
Is
public
yeah,
holiday or
flying and
any Heritage Day event,
yeah, I
so it's
guess
like
that's it.
we call it braaiing, but it's basically
Yeah, like
barbecuing.
just a
Yeah.
barbecue. Yeah. I don't know if you have anything, Frank, that you can think of that's quite specific to South Africa.
Um, no, I can't. I can't. I think that would be something that stands out. I was gonna say doing that at the beach.
Yeah.
I don't know how common that is anywhere else, but like Kryptonians have a habit of frying and
Mm.
barbecuing at the beach. You know, um, I think that's often like something that you now just associate with public holidays.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, people go into the beach specifically to do that.
Well, there's definitely not a thing that happens. That's definitely different to the UK. A public holiday in the UK is just an opportunity to drink heavily. But
Well,
we don't
don't
have
get us wrong.
beaches
I
like
think
you
that
do.
No, I
Yeah,
think that
that's
is
the thing
probably
here.
part of that pastime is here too. Yeah.
Universal. I wanted to
Yeah.
ask a question because I do talk to a decent amount of South African bands across a wide spectrum of genres, and I'm
Mm.
constantly learning things about the country and through those bands, particularly the musical scene as well. And that's kind of what I want to get into next, really, because to sum up you guys, it's doom, atmospheric noise, drone sludge, post metal. That combination is something that not a lot of South Africans are doing. In fact, from my outside perspective, it seems like you're a bit of a rare thing for the metal scene in your country. So, Caitlin, do you relish being such a unique band in the South African metal scene? And do you feel like you're still part of the wider heavy community, regardless?
Um, I feel like we've had a lot of positive reception locally. When we do meet people at other gigs, because so far we've been to other shows more than we've played shows. We'll be starting to promote and play the album more now. So November, moving into February more next year. From then onwards, we'll
Mm,
have shows. But we've had a lot of feedback from people that seem to really like it and resonate with it, which is something we really didn't expect. We
mm,
really did expect to be considered like too weird or hard to understand or maybe just different. And
mm,
I mean, we have been playing together for a really long time, so we're quite used to that, experiencing that. When we did do post rock, more 2014 until 2017, we did find it really hard to be understood or to get into
mm.
spaces. That's not necessarily very different now either. Um, but there is a shift, I would say, more recently. What do you
Mm.
think?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, yeah, like, that it's quite astute to say that it's not a regular genre that's being explored. I mean, you get different divisions of that. So like you might like get doom bands and might get like a sludge rock band or but I think what kind of maybe makes it different for what we were doing is that like um the sound we were trying to create is like obviously a culmination of like a whole bunch of influences that we might have, and they range from like things like Godspeed You Black Emperor
Mm.
to really way quiet things to extremely aggressive stuff like Primitive Man or so it's like it's a wider range until like extreme harsh noise. So like that's kind of where we've been like digging, for like inspiration and stuff like that. And I think that that's maybe just why it comes across as like this sound that has like a lot of different influences, because I think those are the things that make us smile as musicians to hear and enjoy. So it just felt natural to kind of like just make the music that you want to hear, and that seems to be just a mix of all the influences, I guess, that that we'd have.
And Frank,
And
is it
as far
fair?
as like it being, sorry, no, yeah, no,
No,
it's
go
fine.
on. No, you carry on, please.
No, I was just gonna say, and as far as like just reception of like how we fit into the scene, yeah, I think it is something that we are working on to kind of like see where it is that we kind of like working with lineups, you know what I mean, where it's a little bit more conducive to everybody being aligned to some degree or another, and then that also having the crowds be almost understanding what to receive at the end of the day, or like they come into a certain type of show or similarities. But yeah, like I think it's been cool because I mean, like what we actually trying to do is like we're trying to work with other artists that maybe have similar ethos and approach to music ideology than sonic similarities. So, like, I mean, we are very happy to play with bands that are way softer and more like, in tune with that, but like still have that like emotive side to what they're doing. And I think that's more important for us as a band, I think, to work with people in that sense than genre wise.
Well, I mean, that's how you're gonna get a whole new fan base as well, isn't it? Because ultimately you can draw in the fans of the heavy stuff, cool. But those people who don't normally necessarily listen to certain genres, and you come out and you play, and well, who the idea is hopefully you'll then win over a whole new
Fingers
crowd.
crossed.
Yeah. Frank, have you considered the people you've spoken to, the people you've experienced since the release of the album as well? What do you often find is the kind of thing that they suggest to you or say to you that is so appealing about what you're doing? Is it the mix of genres? Is it just what you bring to the table?
I think, besides enjoying the music, I think, like there's also a lot of thought being put into how the whole project is being presented,
Mm-hmm.
So from artwork to the communications methods that we've been using, as well as the execution of the video and both the sonic and the visual experience, So I think people are very, very intrigued by how that all is being, um, almost just funneled into one experience, So I think that is something that has been to me like lots of like positive, positive responses. So it might be people that are often like a lot of people actually who just personally know me and might not listen to doom or even metal. It's just very much appreciative and intrigued by how the whole language and visual language ended up being, which is something that it's also really really nice to hear. Because
Yes.
I think there's a language or something being communicated. Obviously there's the music, which is the biggest component of it, but broader than all that, people can definitely identify that there's a narrative being spoken that goes beyond the music, and
Well,
people implicitly or intuitively are able to catch on to that. They might not know what it is initially, without some further context, but they can definitely see like, whoa, something is being communicated. Some energy or some message beyond just like, okay, good songs.
it goes back to my youth and the old days of going to a record store and flipping through them and seeing a cool cover and connecting to said cover and being intrigued enough to then want to buy it and listen to it and then hopefully loving it from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we should say we are talking about So No More Can Be Done, your debut album. It's out now wherever music can be heard. So that's that. It's been a few weeks since it dropped. So far, Caitlin, are you satisfied with the response that you've had to it so far?
I think so. I mean, within reason that we haven't done a lot of shows yet. So I would say I would want to kind of wait and see how that goes as well. Because it's like we do want to have more direct contact with people. We've been doing so much stuff online mostly. But we've tried to make it very accessible because we're
Hmm.
aware that there's a lot of interest, not just in South Africa. We have a little bit of interest overseas as well. So by having like a virtual listening party, for example, that was something we really like to do just to we're still yet to have a like release party, which will happen in February here, but we felt that that was a cool way just to help create a community and just have people be able to interact with each other too, who are also interested in the genre, but maybe feel like they can't find other people who they could maybe connect to, or they're far away from other people who they can't connect to.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, we feel like it's yet to pick up. Like it's still in the process of gaining momentum, but definitely online. We're like really quite surprised with how well people have been taking it.
That's great to hear. I mean, it's very early days. We really this question really needs to be 18 months, 24 months down the line. Then we can reflect and really see what the landscape looked like for it. But you clearly poured so much into this record, and it has its clear own identity. So, Hilo, for you, what do you think this record says about Pages and where you find yourself now as we close 2025?
Um, I mean, Caitlin said earlier that we had started jamming together since the beginning of 2024. I mean, 2014. And that was a long time of just like, fucking around with sound and really just going for it with no real like oh, like we're gonna go and record this record that we're gonna put out there. We had songs that we'd play and we'd kind of scrap songs and then evolve the sound a little bit more and then scrap those and then yeah, so it's like it's been a journey, but like I think what was cool about doing this record was that it was extremely intentional. Like we had set out from 2019 to do this one. And then there was like just a whole bunch of stuff that happened that obviously just delayed shit. And we eventually got together to be able to finally write the stuff and record it. And I think just, like the idea of that intention behind it shifted gears in like the way we approach doing this as a band or like just a unit, And I think that is like the main kind of shift, as in like compared to what we were doing before and what we did now. It's like we just really were like, you know what? Let's really sit down and write something that we're extremely happy with and put it on on a record. And I think that, yeah, like that is literally the biggest thing that changed in what we were doing. And I think for Pages that is like its own evolution, and like why we changed the name also from what it was before to what it is now. And yeah, like I think, in all of that, just understanding patience and not really getting that FOMO feeling of like, oh my gosh, we're in a band and we have to be seen in the public right now, showing them what we're doing. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's more about like same as painting, like you want to paint something as an artist, so you'll put time into it. And it's like, it's exactly like that. We took that approach to making the record, like the same way a filmmaker would try and make the record, his own movie or their own movie or painting. It's like you're trying to create this world around it. Yeah, and I think that's literally the thing that I feel is where we've come from to where we are now and how that fits into what this record is.
To add to that, we've kept it very DIY as much as we possibly can. So as much as we are a heavy band, we can be considered post-metal within the metal realm. We do have a lot of punk ethos as well. So as much as we can, obviously we've decided to work with or collaborate with different people this time around. So having, being able to work with Warren of Plug Music Agency has changed a lot for us. How we're
Also
able
fuzzy because he put this record, like he actually recorded it for us.
And it sounds amazing. So Simon of Sound and Motion Studios, who worked with Carl Roberts as well. And yeah, being able to have a vinyl, working with Permanent Record as well, to have that just ability to bring vinyl into South Africa is something, it's huge. So there are these big steps and these big changes for us. But at the same time, there's the time and I guess consistency of the DIY elements and the visual elements. And we do so much of that being artists that wasn't too unusual or different around like this time around as well. It just felt like now we get to put it in a more scene way than a more underground approach, which we used to have, which I think things could easily disappear or like get lost that way. And so maybe for some it might seem like, oh, where did this band come from? But for us, it's like been a really long process of, we've done so many like underground DIY shows. We've done shows at exhibition spaces, under bridges, traditional live venues, as well as like theaters. So it's like, yeah, in people's homes as well. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of time behind it, but it's different now that we're kind of like showing our faces. We used to do everything in obscurity and behind projection. We still do live performances to projection, but yeah, we used to have like a projection sheet in front of us. Yeah, so it's very different. We're a lot more, I guess, seen and public, and that is what's new.
Frank, are you enjoying that though? Pulling the veil down effectively, exposing yourself, putting your face out there, all of that. How are you finding that side of things?
It's new. it's new, but I think, you know, like with the shift, I think, you know, it's also just like embracing the new identity of where we are now, you know, and I think that was definitely one of the few, you know, stuff that came with the new Switch, you know. So I think it was something that, you know, if we compare to back then, you know, something that is, you know, different, but it's also been very gradual, you know, like, and I guess like gradually enough for it not to be such a shock. But yeah, it's definitely new. Yeah, yeah, it hasn't you know, been something that um, experienced as much. Like, you know, we will have a first official show on this weekend coming up Friday 28th. But I think, yeah, the gradual identity of the band, you know, allowed for just like coming to terms with these things.
Do you think if it hadn't been gradual, say you had just tried to shift everything, all right, we've got to do it this way. We have to do it this way. We have to get ourselves out there. We need to promote. We need to do this. We need to write quickly, all this stuff because, hey, people are demanding it. Had you done it that way instead of taking your time, being patient effectively and really kind of building up your identity, do you think it would have worked? Or do you think that probably might have fallen apart because you weren't prepared or able to do that?
And I mean, I really can't be able to say what that result would have been, but I can say like taking this approach is definitely like you know, like the best that we could have handled it. And I think, you know, like the results also speak for itself. You know, like I would not have wanted to do it anywhere else. Yeah,
That's fair. What about you, Caitlin Hilo? Do you think? Well, what do you think in regards to that question?
100%, yeah, I agree with Frank. We definitely we had a chance to record sooner, and it's actually just luck that I can't remember what came up and we couldn't.
It
And
just kept getting postponed for various reasons.
yeah, but it really was worth it. Like we're so happy and we're so much proud of what we've made, and yeah, to put it out there and have it be something that we definitely, you know, putting our name to is, yeah, it's a much better like approach than I could have imagined.
Hilo, what kind of excited you about the early writing sessions and the music that you were producing?
Oh, I've got a problem though. Like I'm one of those people that just wants to do new things the whole time. Like, you know, so not new as in like new experiences, but like when I'm writing music, it's like I just love playing and messing around and hearing new riffs and what possibilities there are in that, you know. So for me, it was really like a new kind of challenge to just stick to something and really just flesh it out completely. Because I mean, I've done stuff in the past for myself as a solo thing, and like even with this project and other stuff where it's like I feel extremely hard to satisfy myself with what I've done, you know, because it constantly feels like, oh, I could have done this, or like I can really mine out this idea a little bit more. But I think what was, you know, cool about this situation is that I think I switched just my thinking into like how the writing process would be for me. And I kind of had just like a clear idea, and like that idea was dissonance. And I just wanted to lean into that. And like when I started exploring like dissonance and like how I could get that, like retuning my guitar to make certain chords easier to play, like, you know, so it's just accessible. Like that was a big part of it, like, you know, figuring out what tuning I'm going to use and like how do I write these songs in that way and what shapes am I using. Um, and I think like, yeah, uh that aspect of the writing process is exciting for me because it then gives me this like new feeling of like, oh, okay, yeah, I haven't felt this before through myself. Like I heard it somewhere else in the world, and like I feel these things from other inspirations, but like I've suddenly like, you know, looked into it and kind of like starting to feel it at my fingertips a bit. And I think that was exciting. And especially for this album, it's like that concept of dissonance is like the most sonically, at least, you know, it's like the most how can I put this now? I guess it's like the most accurate way that I could have portrayed what the subject matter is of the album through sonics, you know, because everything is like there's a lot of dismay and there's a lot of dread, there's a lot of like gloomy feelings in the album. Um, you know, besides like the fact that we're trying to overcome those things in the album, like it's like not a paradox, but like, you know, it's we know it's there, but we want to rise above that. But like the dissonance almost like makes you feel like, oh, this is this shitty thing that's happening, you know, in the world or with other people where like, you know, we live in a country where plumbing is like an issue. Like there's no water in certain parts of Cape Town. And people see Cape Town as like this place, like, oh, it's this beautiful place where you go for holidays and shit. But like, you know, I mean, Frank and myself, we both grew up here and like we're coming from the Cape Flats area, right? And that's like it's it's kind of rough in some of those areas. And then you go even further out and there's squatter camps and there's no pollution, no sanitation, you know, like shit like that. And I think with that album and writing the album, it's like wanting to create that feeling without words, you know, like that unease, that like dismay, that disgust of like certain policies or whatever that's creating this feeling of like feeling trapped as a human.
Historical legacies,
Exactly.
disappointment at the idea of a better South Africa post-apartheid, and just generally feeling like systemically trapped or unable to, I don't know, you can't resolve these things, but ultimately a form of resilience is something that we've like noted or we feel like is a way forward. Kind of, yeah, that is sort of the hope of the album, and that's kind of the link of the title, link to the title "No More Can Be Done," where it's maybe you as yourself, you've tried to make a difference, do something new, create something new, and perhaps it feels like it hasn't moved the needle in a bigger sense, but you being yourself and just existing is enough sometimes in certain situations. But it also, it's a form of not giving up. So still keep trying to do stuff and change things, but as well sometimes know that the best you can do is just showing up or being there or being present or listening to like other people's experiences. Or yeah, I think lived experience is a thing that we definitely want to highlight as well, that it's different for everyone, but certain things are true. And that's not necessarily like being depressing or trying to be a downer, because the scene here does highlight or influence, put forward like a kind of party or good times. I don't know, vibe is the best way I can put it. We've heard it from someone else who came to visit here from Iceland, actually, who said, where is a lot of the heavy music, or where's a lot of the anger, considering your country's history and the fact that it wasn't that long ago and a lot of these issues are still present? Where is the frustration? And we agree that it's something we do feel, and that, like, coming back to what you were saying earlier about feeling different or feeling like our music doesn't necessarily fit in everywhere, that can also be something that I guess we bring, but we are bringing a message that is hopeful through that in discussing things. So kind of like the idea of therapy as well, where it's not necessarily bad to discuss things, it's almost a way forward, a way through.
Frank, I could see you nodding vigorously a lot throughout that as well. I take it everything the guys are saying is something you feel as well.
No, yeah, I think 100%, you know, going back to, you know, the idea of dissonance that Hilo mentioned. I think also like just allowing oneself to deal with that, to feel that, like I think before we can talk about why things are and what will happen if we do A, B, and C, I think let's just for now, can we just deal with that this is what it is and what it feels like, and I think that is what I feel like a project like this allows people who get into it to experience. Can we just say that shit is shit, before we go on and speak about what we can do about it? Can we just like sit there and just like take that in and allow ourselves to take it in without slipping into like doomerism, lack of a better word, or like nihilism? Can we just like say that this is so? Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it feels also like knowing the cause or the enemy or whatever you want to call it is like the first step to being able to address something, so like ignoring it is something that you can do, and it's like, maybe that's not everybody's cup of tea is to address some of these things or look into, but like it doesn't change the fact that they are there. And also, like, I think I just wanted to add to both what they both were saying now. It's like, if you, I don't know, like, I think, yeah, just, I guess knowing those facts makes a difference, right? When you putting something together, not everybody's cup of tea, but I think that, like, there's plenty of entertainment or whatever you want to call it that's out there that is filling that gap of like, okay, let's just forget about everything and let's just enjoy. So even heavy music, like, can be that gateway for people where it's like, oh, it's something to enjoy. It's more of a party atmosphere, and maybe some of the things that get spoken about is heavy, but I think, yeah, like there's enough of that out there. And I think like for bands to do whatever, like to be not on that fun side of thing is also okay, like, because you need a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I don't think, like our band is like super morbid and, like we are people that don't laugh and talk shit and all of that, but it's like, I think with this project specifically, it's like a movie or art, like, you have a message, you have something to say, and we decided to dig into it and just be like, this is not like supposed to be a fun experience for us even to perform it. It's extremely tiring, and like it takes a lot like to bring yourself into that and then let it out, as knowing where it's coming from. So, I just think that we probably just not that kind of act, and I think that is also what separates or makes it hard to be able to then team up with certain acts that are here, because it's like maybe that does feel like where it's coming from, where it's like, oh, okay, is this band too, like, maybe too I guess downerish, you know what I mean? Like, is it too depressive listening to some of the stuff, And for me, it feels the opposite of that. It feels actually empowering. And I think most of the music that I listen to, it's like it sounds depressing as hell, like, but it actually makes me feel like I'm not alone. There's somebody else that's feeling that, and I feel stronger because of it, So like, I think it's also just perception of like how to understand what is being made, and, not categorizing the people as the thing, the people and the thing are two separate things. It's like you can make something, but you can also be your own person and nuance.
I said earlier on that I felt, I said the album had its own identity, and the way you've all just expressed what you've talked about there it's clear. It's clarity that I think comes through strongly when you listen to the album, even though it's based in dissonance. And as you say, it has depressive qualities. It is reality, and that's really important, because what connects, I think, to a wider audience is that while there are specifics to South Africa, anybody in the world can connect to this, because these same issues, a lot of these issues exist all over, whatever country we're in. There is plenty, as you said, unchain. We call them unchain the brain content, be it a film or a album that you can put on and you don't have to think about, and you can just consume and enjoy in its own way. But that ability to just sometimes scream into a pillow and not be hugged afterwards, you just need to let it out, is is something I'm never going to complain about. But my goodness me, you must have pushed yourself when it comes to the recording phase of things. So I guess I want you all, if you wouldn't mind, to kind of share any particular aspect of the recording phase that pushed you in a way that maybe you didn't think you were capable of, maybe you didn't expect. Yeah, start with you, Frank.
Okay. I think, it's also working, having the opportunity to work with Simon Ratcliffe, and just knowing how rare and special that is. And I think it was incredibly huge learning curve, and just watching him do what he does, but also at the same time it really, how can I say, sunk in the idea that this is special. This is could be something that's once in a lifetime. And I think that understanding of what a big thing you are part of, because who knows what can happen after this, but right now this is the reality. And I think that will always be my takeaway of how privileged I was to be in that position, to soak everything in, to learn, and to just be part of something that was a first for me, and I think that is, very humbling. Yeah, and that's the word, that's the takeaway.
How about you, Caitlin?
I think Frank said so much of what I was feeling as well. Big, life experience. Just, I had so much nerves. I was super nervous leading up to it, and didn't know totally what to expect in that situation. But I was so surprised that we were able to, we prepared so much for it as well. We knew we only had so many days, I think it was about a week to get everything done. And that's just 5 days or 4 days.
5 days, yeah. 5 6-hour days.
And one of them was just setting up, really.
The first day.
And just checking that everything sounded all right. And I think it was the passage didn't have a click track, so that was also just, we were pretty nervous about nailing that, because we the way we play, it being so slow, there's a lot of cues, physical cues, and nodding and swaying, and that's the way we kind of visually keep time with everything. And all of it was done, each song was done in one take, so that was also a lot to anticipate. And we wanted it to have a live sound too, but the rest of the tracks, so side B of the album, basically had click tracks that we practiced really hard with, and then actually recorded with as well. So I was actually surprised that we could get through so much of the album in, was it
I think it was a day and a half we recorded everything. The instrumentation, the live playthrough.
Yes, without the vocals.
Without vocals.
Yeah. I'm really proud of us for having done that. We worked really hard. Yeah.
What about you, though? Hello.
I think that also was surprising to me, because the nerves, definitely thinking, oh my gosh, you only got 5 of these half days to be in the studio, and obviously worrying about oh my gosh, are we going to get the takes right? Are we going to waste time? Are we going to fall short and then not have enough material for the album and only have an EP's worth of stuff, or a single or something like that? But I think that literally, I think, pushed us as a band to be as prepared as possible. So we didn't muck about like with the trying to refine writing and all of that stuff. When we came to the studio, we knew what we had to do. We did the takes we did. Maybe we did a take twice. Like, we did take one and take two, and then I think he just chose the best one of the two.
Yeah.
But there wasn't like this, okay, let's go over that part again, because, if we screwed up, we told him start from the beginning and we do it again. And I think that was the biggest push, was like this time limit and knowing that you're working with this legendary person, and you want to get it like everything there. So I think
Yeah.
that was a big like
It's
push.
a lot of pressure also, but we did it, I think.
Yeah, I think it was
we
good.
managed
Yeah, it
it.
was a good experience, and I think that time frame and like just the experience itself definitely pushed us as a band to be as like prepared as we could be. Yeah.
It's incredible. I love stories like that because you listen to the album, you would never know that. You would never know the pressures, the time constraints you were under, and how it's wonderful. A once in a lifetime experience, unique event that because your next album, whatever you do in the future,
Yeah.
how you do it will be different no matter what. So
Yeah.
it's such a cool
Yes.
thing to experience.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
We're up to 50 minutes, 5-0. So we're probably going to have to stop then in a second, let you get on with the rest of your days. But I do want to ask, because you kind of mentioned this very much at the start, Frank, so I'm going to ask you all this question as well. Because ultimately, Pages is more than just music. It's a bigger thing. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more creative outlets to do with the band than what you do here. And that's what I want to ask you about. Aside from making the actual music, what other parts of Pages do you find creatively satisfying? We'll start with you, Frank.
I mean, I want to say it's the visual, but I think it's also just what the visual portrays, which goes
Mm.
into this larger message. And I think that um, often, if you were to be a new person experiencing it, you will be end up sometimes just with more questions, and then clear, like understandable narrative. But at the same time, it is something that I feel like it resonates with most people in an implicit way, because it's also not random. Everything is pretty sought out and chosen and worked towards a specific narrative or identity that we are adhering to. And I think that I don't know what word would be to call it other than the story or the narrative. And I think like exploring all the ways that can be communicated.
Mm.
I think that is like the most exciting part. Whether it be like through illustration or through music or through photos or whatever. Like they like all the interesting creative ways we can communicate this like energy or like narrative. I think that's the only word I feel like is sensible right now. Like all the ways of exploring that narrative.
How about you, Caitlin? Other parts aside from music, do you find creatively satisfying?
I really like that, like what Frank was saying with the narrative, there's a lot of inclusivity as well. So we're really focusing on women, BIPOC, LGBTQ plus, human rights, animal rights, the environment. We're throwing in so much like as an important message. So it feels like we're also creating space and reality that will be welcoming and a community. And through art, through creativity, and making it like a world, and like it's not meant to be a world in and of itself separate to anything else. It's supposed to be something that can exist that more people can feel comfortable in, that maybe they in the heavy scene didn't before. And
Mm.
I think I really like that through all of the creative aspects, as well as the creative outlet for me, being a visual artist as well. It's like, yeah, I'm really, really excited. And the fact that we can collaborate with amazing people. For our music video, we got to collaborate with Louise Kutzer and Oscar Orion, and they're amazing creatives, just wonderful, wonderful, skilled, talented people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hila, how about you?
Yeah, I think like tying those two things together, the audio aspect, the sonic aspect, and the visual aspect, is like really something that I find extremely like exciting and always keen to work on, because it kind of just helps tell the story in a way that is like more emotive, something that you can almost like feel outside of just like the sonics. Like, you start to invest yourself into, just this visual aspect of it, or again, the narrative or the storytelling of something, or, I mean, that's been a huge part of like what we've been doing as a band in general. Like, you know, from the start, it's like we started using like, Brothers Key, I think is the name, the Brothers Key, the stop motion animation folks from the 80s and the 90s, the Quay, yeah, like that's them. And yeah, like that kind of just almost kicked it off for us, where it's like, storytelling, these are their visuals that we relate to. And then we just started like thinking about making our own stories to these things and the visual aspect of it. And again, creating like a world that is relative, you can understand it, but it stands on its own to be like, oh, okay, this is the way that they tell the story, and I think the cohesion and trying to work on all of that, to make it cohesive, I think is the exciting part, because it's easy to be able to just, oh, let's make a visual thing here and do a visual thing, like, just randomly. But like it takes thought and process. And I think that's again the thing that I was talking about earlier, where it's like I enjoy new things. And like when you're thinking on like that, it's like the ideas are just like, oh, like how do you tie this in? And I think that is the exciting part for me, is creating cohesive narrative. Yeah.
There's such a bigger picture to what you do, and it's fascinating to have seen what you've done up to this point, and even more exciting to wonder what will come next, which is my final question, really. You mentioned the album release show in February. It was February 2026. What else can you tell me? From a show perspective, perhaps what you can share that what maybe you'll considerably looking at into 2026?
I mean, I can answer that too. So like we'll be playing a show this Friday. This will be our first public show that we're playing. And then I think we're probably going to have a little bit of a break over the festive season and take some time. I don't think we're doing anything for Jan as well, as far as like shows go. And then we'll start picking up in February. 7th will be our release show.
The Mask Theatre.
Yeah, at the Mask Theatre on the
Cool.
7th of Feb.
We'll have Constellation playing, as well as
Emily, Tangleweed, and Liesel Elec. Yeah, they will be opening up the show. And then on the 21st of that month, we'll be doing a live session at one of the Spinal Tap Bar, which is in Observatory. And they've been so cool in the community, where they've been like getting bands into their space and actually doing like their own little KEXP type of situation, So it's like recording the band live, setting it up, mixing the sound and everything, and then afterwards, because the bar actually does its own brewing. So then they'll brew a batch specifically for that show. And then you invite your friends to come and watch the premiere of it, like, and drink the beer that is made for it. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like, there's a couple of things in the works, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as well, it is to be confirmed, but we will have a few other shows as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, just in case they do get
Of course,
pushed
of
out
course.
to different dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it will be at typical live, like a live venue with the bar and so on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think just one other thing is like probably trying to create more videos to go with some of the songs off the album. So maybe like another one or two or something like that. But like, yeah, that's all just brainstorming at the moment and takes a lot of time and resources. So yeah, like, got to kind of just think
DIY.
about it a bit. Yeah, it will be DIY as usual, but like, yeah, I think that's kind of us in a nutshell for the next couple of months.
But we definitely love to play as many shows as possible in as many different spaces as possible.
Well, fingers crossed that you get the opportunity to do that, but it's good to hear that you are going to be doing things nonetheless. Of course, we still should say it's still in a very celebratory period, as No More Can Be Done has only been out. Well, actually, it's a month time tomorrow as of the recording,
Yes,
October
1 month,
25th.
baby.
Yes. Guys, we're hitting an hour, so we'll wrap it up there.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so
both.
much. Yeah, it's been good.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.